There was a man who sat at his kitchen table at 2 in the morning, staring at a blank piece of paper, with nothing in his bank account, no job, no plan, and one single thought running through his mind over and over again: that this was it, that this was the bottom, that there was absolutely nowhere left to fall. And in that moment, in that unbearable silence, something shifted inside of him. Not a miracle, not a phone call, not a lucky break, just a decision. One quiet, desperate, earth-shaking decision that would change the entire direction of his life forever. And by the time this video is over, that story is going to change yours too. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what you're about to hear, because this isn't just a motivational video. This is a mirror, and some of you are going to look into it and finally see the truth about where you are, why you're stuck, and exactly what it's going to take to break free. So if you're new here, and this is the first time you found this channel, do yourself the biggest favor you can do today. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what we build here, week after week, is the kind of content that doesn't just make you feel good for 5 minutes and then fade away. What we build here changes lives. Now let's get into it. That man at the kitchen table, his name was Marcus. He grew up in a small town in Ohio where the biggest ambition most people had was to keep their head down, pay their bills, and survive until the weekend. His father worked at a factory for 31 years. His mother cleaned offices at night while raising 3 kids during the day. They weren't poor in spirit. They were rich in love. But they were broke in every financial sense of the word. And Marcus watched that his entire childhood. He watched his mother skip meals so her kids could eat. He watched his father come home with hands so torn up from the machines that he could barely hold a fork at the dinner table. And Marcus told himself, he whispered it to himself like a prayer every single night, that one day things would be different. One day he would be different. The opportunity you're looking for is the 86,400 seconds you were handed this morning when you opened your eyes. That's it. That's the whole gift. And it expires at midnight. So there Marcus was, 34 years old, sitting at that kitchen table at 2 in the morning. His car had been repossessed that week. He'd been laid off 2 months earlier and hadn't told anyone because the shame of it was so heavy he could barely breathe under the weight of it. He sat there, and he did something he hadn't done in years. He got brutally, painfully, uncomfortably honest with himself. He stopped blaming the economy. He stopped blaming his boss. Now I want you to pause for a second. Not physically, keep watching, because what comes next is the part that most people never hear. But I want you to pause internally and ask yourself this question with complete honesty. Marcus got up from that table. Not the next morning, not after he'd slept on it. Right then, at 2 in the morning, he got up, he opened his laptop, and he started working on the one idea he'd been carrying around for years. The one he'd talked himself out of 100 times because it seemed too hard, too risky, too uncertain. He started building. Slowly, imperfectly, clumsily, with no money and no guarantee of success, he started doing the thing he had only ever talked about doing, and it was hard, harder than he'd imagined. There were nights when he questioned everything. There were mornings when quitting felt like the only logical, rational, reasonable choice a sane human being could make. Don't quit today. Tomorrow is tomorrow's problem. Today, just don't quit. Think about what that does to a person over time. Think about what 6 months of that looks like. A year, 2 years. You stack day after day of choosing to show up even when everything in you is screaming to sit down, and gradually, not dramatically, not overnight, but gradually and undeniably, the momentum builds. You get better. The work improves. The results start appearing, not because the universe suddenly decided to reward you, but because you literally gave it no other choice. You refused to stay where you were for long enough that forward became the only direction left. like the life he'd been dreaming about since he was a boy, watching his father come home with destroyed hands. I'm telling you Marcus's story because I want you to understand something critical. This is not a story about talent. Marcus wasn't the most talented person in his field. This is not a story about timing or luck or connections or coming from the right family or having the right opportunities handed to you. This is a story about one single transferable, universally available, completely free force that every single human being on this planet has equal access to. And that is the choice to execute. The choice to stop talking and start doing. The choice to transform intention into action and action into identity. Because here's what nobody wants to admit, and I'm going to say it plainly because this channel is about truth, not about making you comfortable. Most people will watch a video like this, feel fired up for about 20 minutes, and then go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. The feeling will fade, the inspiration will evaporate, and tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. And the reason for that isn't because they're bad people. It's because they've confused the feeling of motivation with the act of discipline. And those two things are not the same. Motivation is the spark. Discipline is the engine. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going when motivation packs its bags and leaves, which it will, which it always does. The people who actually change their lives, the ones who actually build the things they dream about and become the version of themselves they've been imagining, they're not more motivated than you. They're more disciplined than you. They've made a decision that is independent of how they feel on any given morning. They've decided that the work gets done whether they feel like it or not, whether the sun is shining or the world is falling apart, whether they slept 8 hours or 3. The work gets done because the work is the promise, and the promise is non-negotiable. And he said the thing that saved him wasn't a speech or a song or a mentor or a sign it was a question he asked himself. A single, simple, devastating question. He looked at himself in the mirror and asked, if I stop now, will I be okay with who I see in this mirror for the rest of my life? And the answer was no. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the entire engine of human perseverance compressed into one question and one honest answer. Not, I'm going to keep going because I'm confident. Not, I'm going to keep going because I know I'll succeed. But I'm going to keep going because stopping means becoming someone I cannot live with. And that standard, the standard of being someone you can respect when you look at yourself honestly, that standard is the most powerful force there is. Because it isn't dependent on results. It isn't dependent on applause or validation or external proof that you're doing the right thing. It's entirely internal. It's entirely yours. And nobody, no circumstance, no setback, no disappointment can take it from you. I want you to think about the decisions you've been putting off. I don't mean the big dramatic life-changing ones, although those matter too. I mean the small ones, the daily ones, the ones that seem so tiny and inconsequential in the moment that you don't even fully register them as decisions. Tell me where you are in your story. Are you at the kitchen table moment? Are you in the grinding middle? Are you on the other side looking back? Because this community is built on real stories, and your story might be exactly the thing someone else needs to read today to keep going. Share this video with someone who's been putting something off. You never know when a video lands in someone's life at exactly the right moment and gives them the courage to take the first step. Make one move toward the thing you've been putting off. One email, one phone call, one page, one workout, one conversation, one application, one step. That's all. Because the journey to the life you actually want is not a leap. It's a series of single steps taken by someone who refused to stop walking. Be that person. Starting today, starting right now. The clock is running. The time is yours. Go get it.